My name is Bruce Bell, and I'm going to lead you into an exploration of how to take your life force energy, to charge it up, to form it, to direct it into areas of your life that you want to change. Life force energy, a tool for transformation. I want to share with you something that my teacher shared with me every time that we worked, and I think it's appropriate when we're working with energy in ways to grow in life. What I'm going to share with you works for me. It may or may not work for you. You could use it, and if it works for you, great. I'm glad, I'm happy. If it doesn't work for you, stop doing it. Throw it away. Do something else. That gave me a lot of freedom. That gave me the authority to be my own teacher. That gave me the space to take what I heard and to see and shape it into what moves inside of me. Did it resonate? Is it true? Is there a part of me that this is true for? What part of me is it true for? And if not, then this may not be what I want to be doing or should be doing. Then I get to have a dialogue around that. Well, maybe I should be doing it because I don't get it, and there is something I see out there that I do want that I think that person has, and that's another thing then. Right? So we can begin to move out of our own perceptions and our own ego and our own way that we see the world because we want it to be different, and maybe we need a little bit of help getting there. And so there it is. It's on the table. I do hope you join, at least go through a few of this, a few of these exercises, a little bit of this time to see really what it is, because this is a lifetime worth of work. I didn't make this up yesterday, right? I started this when I was born, and I'm in my 60s now, and the theme of energy and in the body and how it moves has been prominent in about everything I do. So I went from being a child who was an athlete, and an athlete who began to move through space in all sorts of different ways and have all sorts of different experiences while moving through space, seeing things move from fast motion into slow motion, knowing that something was going to happen in the next play, walking up in a baseball game knowing I'm going to hit a home run and watching it like walking into this path of energy and consciousness and hitting the home run and going way back, and you know what? No big deal. Going up and petting a horse's nose and entering into a space of instant poetry, the softness and the relationship, right? Out of ordinary awareness into an awareness of a sort of energy that moves and breathes and pulses and feels very profound and very real, and it's no big deal. It's just something subtle. It's right there all the time. But we get busy and we make forms and we've made decisions that have stopped us from maybe being aware of these subtle spaces. We discount these subtle spaces where energy and life is telling us messages, where it's leading us through our way. So if we want to make a change now from this form that we have, and we're always wanting or able to make shifts in our forms. You see, the forms are temporary. And they're not here forever. Life is going, we are going to die, and we're going to disintegrate this form. We've used up that form, we've let it go, out the window it goes, and maybe, for those believers, or maybe in a sense, maybe we start again at another time. All right, maybe we come back and reform it. But in the meantime, we got this one form, let's take advantage of it, and let's explore it, and see where it could take us. So I invite you. Here we go. I brought a little cheat sheet here because it'll help me direct my focus a little clearer to help you. And we're going to go through this, and I'm going to give you some movement exercises, and that's what this course is about, is learning to move both externally and internally with these subtle forces so we're more aware of them, so we could harness them to I lost it. What are we harnessing it for? So it can change our lives. So we could experience ourselves in more dimensionality than we normally do. Okay. I'm not a great word guy, but let's move and we'll start teaching from the movement itself. But what we're going to start with is a point. A point is a hologram that places us into space, because space is moving all around us. And if we don't have any grounding into it, we're just moving and we don't know where to go. So we're going to take that point and ground that point right down into the earth, right between our feet. And here's what we're going to do. I have a tool here. It's called a roll of tape. And a roll of tape is a great little tool in order to take yourself and put you into space. Your point in space today, your point to work with today. And there it is, a point between my feet in space. I'm going to put the x-axis on it so it's a little stronger. All right. A hologram. I want to make this point clear so that I can move it anywhere I wish to move it. This point I'm going to fill up and charge as a hologram of vibrating energy so I can move it anywhere I want to. In fact, I can replicate the point and have a point here and a point there and move this point of replicating manifested imagery and energy into the future. An energy quantum that you could place anywhere. Learn to map it in your body so that it is not an abstraction. But what is your body? An evolutionary manifestation, an evolutionary manifestation that breathes, pulses, feels, remembers, records. A vehicle for experience, a chariot for your transformation, a manifestation of evolving consciousness. It is a mechanism for you to use to take energy and to harness it as life force energy. Energy takes on different forms to express the evolving consciousness of life. Snake, snail, rat, glop for you evolutionists. For your spiritualists, it's still the same. In God's image is man. When we look at the solid world of manifestation, we see how energy shapes and forms itself. Take, for instance, a tornado. A funnel vortex drops down from the sky, or water down a drain. If it is not grounded like in the tornado, this funnel wreaks destruction. It's got energy spiraling down, and at the same time energy spiraling up, because that's the nature of a spiral, and it's bouncing around and just pulling stuff up, sucking up, placing it, sucking it, placing it down. But when it is centered and grounded, then this energy funnel creates life. What we are going to learn together is to ground this energy and to use it for our sole purpose of personal evolution and transformation. In our exploration, we will center and ground this energy in the vital energy centers, the chakras, most directly integrated into the physical body. The chakras are the way that we take energy and integrate it into our physical body. So there's this subtle energy field around us, right? In doubt, an aura, a chakra, a feeling. You all see it. You look at someone and you have, I have this hunch, right? I have this hunch. You look at something about the line of their neck or the way of their eyes or something how they speak. You have this something of knowing about them, right? You're picking up on subtle energies. You're seeing or feeling or experiencing an energy field. It's not foreign to us, right? It's just not as apparent as, flesh and bones. But there's something else that you do know. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about working with energies. We want to be able to embrace those subtle spaces. It's sort of like this space between the lines. There's a lot of knowing. In our exploration, except each of these centers has a specific location in the body energy field, and each has a particular vibration. Each note in a musical scale has a vibration, a unique sound. When the sound is centered, it creates a resonance, an overtone. And like an orchestra, when all the instruments are fine-tuned, centered, a full body of resonances and overtones are created. The energy field gets stronger and it expands. So in your body, when you align and balance and clear and resonate your energy centers, they are an orchestra. They expand. The overtones bring in subtle energy. Your awareness expands. The body and cells vibrate at a higher frequency. You tap into aspects of yourself that are timeless. A spiritual dimension, one that nourishes your body and nourishes your soul. The body is an octave wave of energies, a melody scale like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, 7, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, 7, do, 8, a full cycle. It returns back to its original one. An array of colors, Roy G. Biv, the chakras, the root chakra, red, is an energy that comes into a nerve plexus down at the base of the spine. Orange is the sacral. Yellow, the solar plexus. Green, the heart area and the nerve system. Here, the throat. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, creative center, into the third eye area, violet, and then octave 8, white. We learn to play this realm of vibration, starting at a lower vibration, connecting down into the earth around 8 hertz, and then moving up into high vibrations. I think Valerie Hunt said this is 13,000, right? When she was around, there's not even an instrument that could measure the idea, you know. Our scientific studies couldn't grasp the idea that we could have such high vibrations in our being, in our field. So there is a little bit of background. Now, let's take this point here and do a little bit of exploration of what that means. So there's this point that I'm standing on in the earth, and I have it right between my feet. Now the same point, which is grounding and keeping me centered here, is also in the center of both my arches. Solid down onto the earth. Now that point begins to set up a relationship that places me on the earth, and once I'm placed, I now have a dimension of what is up from that point on the floor to high, and what is down below it. It gives me a sense of what is to my left and what is to my right, and it gives a sense to me of what is in front of me and what is behind me. As we go through this, we're going to map out later, maybe tomorrow, the quadrant of what those spaces are. And that's, you know, that's just one form, but the square is a very solid form. We're working to ground our energy so that we could have that Roy G. Biv scale begin to harmonize and resonate. So if that root, that bass is like off, right? Instead of ooh, right? We're going to get a bunch of energy. It's around here, down here, we're going to talk like that. But if we can ground it down and take it and begin to build a resonance and have it move up through the body and have the body respond to that resonance, then the sounds can come out a little more clear. Right? So be with me here as I'm going to allow myself to go out of the explanation and more into the experience. When we have a sense of up and down in the body, we get to translate that into also a sense of weight and lightness. Down is heavier. Up feels a little lighter. When we create this sense of a point in space, then in the earth plane, that begins to open up an awareness that space is, that's not space, it's air, and air comes down and has a certain weightedness to it, 14 some pounds per square inch. So if I'm moving against air, there's a sense of resistance. Now, anytime I meet resistance, whether it's in movement or even in life, a little harder to understand, then there's a sense of pressing against, and that has that feeling to me, at least in this sense, of weight. So just take one hand, and this is like you're in a swimming pool, except your head's above water, right? And you're just moving up against the water, because that's even more heavy than air, right? So if I move against the water, it's pressing. Now, when it presses, if you allow your body to become a fluid vehicle, see, this isn't an isolated experience here. My hand moving against the space isn't isolated to just my hand and my arm. It moves down into my shoulder, and that force moves down through my torso and through my rib cage and down through my hips and down through my legs and down into the earth, because that's where it's getting grounded. That's taking that tornado vortex and placing it somewhere. I mean, if I'm just here, then no, I'm not getting any energy. But if I move against it and allow it to move down, and it moves down into the earth, and there's a magnetic pole down there into the earth, and that begins to charge me up more. Right? When I'm grounded, I begin to charge the electrical vibrations, the ionization of my own field. So watch this. Breathe in and just move up against this heavier system. And even allow your knees to bend, even if your body has to, sink down a little bit to allow this to happen. Now, ride a wheel, a wave, up and over, a circle into your chest. And then you're going to push out with your breath. Exhale. Push out energy. And push it into a focal point out into space, somewhere out there. Now here I have a camera. I could point right down into the middle of the lens. I'm going to send energy and breath, because breath moves along your energy, and right into that center, and then I'm going to anchor it and pull it back in. Suck it in. Sucking. Pull it in. Fill it up your hands, fill it, and then press down against it. Now when you press down against it, if you were sunk, watch what happens. Your body will begin to slightly lengthen up, because you're pressing down through space, but also your feet are pressing down. And when it presses down, there's a mechanism. I press down, and the other part goes up. Right? I press down, and I have this feeling of liftedness. So there's an opposition that we begin to move with with our energies, with the awarenesses of how our body is on the earth. If I want to jump, I have to press down, hit against the resistance, bounce off of it to go higher, right? Try to jump in space, right? Who jumps in outer space? Right? I had nothing to press against. It is one of my fantasies or dreams, like, what is it like to dance, right, in outer space, where you have nothing really to press against, vacuums. So, back to our breath. Breathe in, soften the belly. So the Jin Shindo here. Slight circle, push out. You're learning qualities that you do with energy. You push energy at times, and then it gets out there and it has to pause. It pauses for a moment. There's a transition point. It goes only so far. It has to transition, so there's a pause and an opening. Then you can grab that energy and bring it back in. And there's another little pause as we have a transition point, because it's going to go down, and you press it down. Now take it and use your mind and push it all the way down to the center of the earth. Now see if you can get first 6 feet down. Maybe that's all you can do. Maybe that's all the integratedness of your mind, your imagination, your breath, and your energy and consciousness can do. It might only be 6 feet. So that's where you want to stop. Somebody else might be 8 feet. Or you have a little more breath and you go 10 feet, 12 feet, or maybe you really kind of go to a quantum leap and go right down into the very center of and then bring it back up. And now you're anchored. Take your fingers and anchor down there into the center and slowly pull it up. Like a rubber band is attached to whatever point it is below you, and there's this rubber band, and you're pulling up against the rubber band, and it's pulling your fingers down, so there's resistance here, and you're pulling up against it, and you're allowing your body to make shapes, to spiral, to adapt, to be fluid to this sense of pulling up as it goes. So what's happening to me is I feel my hips spiraling, I feel my rib cage spiraling, and I feel my shoulders dropping down. Experience. So each time you begin to teach yourself how to move because of what the energy is teaching you how to do. And there's that point, and we're going to take it up to as high as we can. Right? Press it together. Right? If you go a little higher, you got a yoga pose here. Exhale into it. Now, we're going to move then out to the side, but as any change in dimension, we have to have a transition point. And we don't want to collapse into ourselves. We need more energy to take the next movement. So you're going to take the breath from your belly, send it up through the hands and out. So you have space, and now you can go out and over. And go over. Now you're on a plane, just like the back wall, and you're just going to slowly keep going out, but go as far as you can. Touch out there as far as you can, slowly. Slowly. Let's go to the cross point. Let's stay there for a second. Bring in energy into your hands, because you got to have energy moving in and out to sustain. You don't want to lock. There's going to be no energy moving. Pull it in, press it out, pull it in, press it out, and then slowly press down against it now. So the dimension and the dynamic is changing as I press. I'm compressing as I press against space. I'm now compressing it. Pushing it in toward the center line, right down to the center line, right down between my feet, right down to the, as deep as you can go into the earth. Let's start the whole thing over again. Breathe in, and energize the field. Bring the space in, exhale, send it out, bring it back in, send it down to the center of the earth, grab on and pull it up, and send it out. What's your experience? Do you feel taller? Do your feet feel wider against the floor? Is your neck relaxed? Do you see out of your eyes more a sense of space, maybe even vibrations, as you're looking and filling up with energy, and energy expands your sense of space? Vertical. So there's a beginning. And take this feeling, you can do this really small. You can move energy, really subtly. You could be standing in line at the grocery store and having all sorts of stuff around you going on. And you can go, wait a minute, I'm standing here, not needing to get distracted by all those outside forces there. Not needing to complain about the service not being right, about somebody's hair, about looking at the newest gossip magazine, making comment on it, that take you away from this experience of your body standing here on earth. I'm not over here hanging out. I'm back here energizing myself. Now, it's not that you can't hang out and energize yourself, but it's got a little bit different layer when you know that you're pressing against something and there's energy cycling up and down through your body and it's always moving. I'm not collapsed into myself. I can move energetically and still have my point here. In fact, how far can you move off your body, move and still stay on your point, right? Right? I'm still on my point. In fact, I'm still on my point. I'm still on my point. I haven't moved off of it yet. I could explore all the space around me. To the back. Both ways. Hey, this is good. All right? This is really good. Take it and roll it up. Oh, here's a nice one. Are you down here with me? Drop your tailbone. This is great. Drop your tailbone, soften your knees. Feel the weight out of your hands. Now let your tailbone keep on dropping. Dropping, and the tailbone drops, and you're going to slowly rise up. The weight goes more through the legs. The tailbone's dropping. Your legs will feel like really heavy. The tailbone keeps dropping, and that's what guides you. So as it drops, the spine will align itself, but it's aligning itself in reference to being anchored into the earth. And the trick here is you have to let go and release. So you move a little bit and stop. Pause. Move a little bit. Pause. Move a little bit. Pause. You don't want to make adjustments. You want the body to teach you how it knows how to rise up from the ground without flexing and tensing old pattern muscle movements. My legs are burning, my feet are burning. One more thing. Bend the knees slightly. Exhale. Bring the space in. Send it down, and if it takes you up, as you press against it, see if you can allow it to take you all the way up into what dancers would call a releve. And then slowly, once you're there, pull the heels down to the earth, lift the top of your head toward the heaven. Heels down, top of the head lifts. Heels down, top of the head lifts. In yoga, I would call this, especially if my feet were together, Tadasana. Equal standing. No preference to left or right, front, back. Equal samastiti namaste. So take this with you. Use it. And before you stop, go down and take this point of exploration off the floor. Roll it up. As my teacher would tell me, as we would explore a form. Now take it and throw it out the window. We're done. We used it for now, and the reference of it will not be the same tomorrow. So we'll have to start again and build a new form to explore it with. All right? So let it go, and we're done for today. Thank you.